So let me begin by creating a new API project. I'll give it a name and choose default properties in the next screen and go ahead and create. So here I have a API project which I've created. Now I'll go ahead and create a new project which is a database based project. So new project and select SQL database project and give it a name chai.cps.db and create. So here I have a DB project into which now I can start creating scripts. But let me begin by creating a text file wherein I'm going to define the standards that I want to follow while creating tables and views. So here I can define the standards as per the need. You can also write and take up the standards from your own projects or other details. So here I have complete standards defined as of now, starting from naming convention to various other details. Now in GitHub Copilot, you can go and start a prompt by referring to an existing file, right? So here I have a project with the standards. Now I can go to GitHub and say hash and then give the file name. That's how I refer a SQL standards.txt, right? So let me go ahead and write a prompt referring to this file. I'm asking GitHub Copilot to generate a new table with fields like name, ID, description, and the standard fields that I have designed. And here the table name is technology, and I'm asking you to create ID, name, and description along with created on and updated on. So what GitHub Copilot does is based on the name of the fields, it is able to identify the data type and also append. It will be able to append the suffixes based on the data type and go and create a table. So here I have the table script, create table TBL technology. Now I can go ahead and manually create a new script file, .sql file or a table file and give it a name TBL technology. And all I need to do is copy the code into the file or just say delete that and just say preview, right? When it previews, it shows the difference from existing to new. And here I have the table, right? So it's as easy as defining and being very specific to your need in the prompt. Now, similarly, I can go ahead and ask it to refer the standards file and the newly created TBL technology file to create new tables. So here I'm saying create a new table called roles with fields similar to TBL technology, right? So what I'm asking it to is to refer a table which is just now created, TBL technology, and then I'm going to say create similar table called but a different role. So now it is able to create the same fields again, right? But it says TBL roles. Again, I can go ahead and add a new file TBL roles and copy the code, and I have that roles table ready to use in my project. Accept. Now I'll go ahead and similarly create all the tables which I need for the project. So here I'm creating another table called main content with very specific tables like uh, tech ID, role ID, certification ID, and new fields like which are not available in the TBL technology or the TBL roles. Now I get the code and the script that I need, uh, and I can create a new file and go ahead and append it. Now here, I'm asking it to update the existing script to make role ID as a foreign key to the TBL roles. So here, if you notice, I'm not specifying make the foreign key with ID column, and I'm not giving being very specific. But all I'm asking it to make I role ID foreign key to TBL roles. So GitHub Copilot is able to understand ID as a primary key, link it to the I role ID in the TBL roles. Now, similarly, I can go ahead and create for iTech ID and iCertification ID to ask it to make the foreign key to relevant tables. So you notice here creating foreign keys, creating primary keys, setting those relationships is also something that you can manage it through GitHub Copilot as long as you're clear on what are you trying to achieve and you have a design in mind, right? So here I have now another foreign key, tech ID, and it is able to create the TBL technology as a foreign key as in an iTech ID as a foreign key. So I'm going go ahead and creating for all other ID columns which I need a foreign key, and I can keep writing prompts to generate this foreign key and update the previously generated script. So what you need to notice is it is updating the script which it has previously generated, and then adding the columns or adding the relationship into that script. And at every step, I can preview it, copy it into the file which I've opened, and keep updating the code, right? So without actually writing code, I'm able to generate the scripts, I'm able to generate the columns and the data types, the naming conventions, and follow the standards. Here I'm basically setting the length also to a specific number. Now this can also go into standard file. You can say any varchar should not be more than 100. Maximum is 100 unless specified. So you can always go back and update your standards and then ask your code. GitHub Copilot will pick up from there. Now the final TBL main content, I can preview it and replace it in the file that I manually created. Right. Now again, I'm continuing to uh, create other tables which I need for the purpose of my design and the overall application here. So there is a certification table which I'm creating, which will store all the certifications of a given technology or given organization. So here I have the TBL certifications script, which is ready for me to create a new table again. So now what I can also do is I can use GitHub Copilot to update and create already created tables with respect. Let's say you want to rename a field or you want to change the data type, or in this case, iCert ID is newly created, and I created a table for TBL certification a few minutes back. So I'm going back to TBL main content and asking you to create another foreign key this time to iCert ID and link it to TBL certification. So previously what we did, we created TBL main content with two foreign keys. Then we created a TBL certification. So now we are going back and updating it to have iCert ID as a foreign key, right? Which I can now update in the existing table, right? So this is how you can use GitHub Copilot with prompts and standard file that you can write and refer the standards, refer the existing templates to go ahead and then generate the TBL script. So here I'm trying to uh, see how I can generate different document for the code. Now, in some cases, you can try the inline comments. Now, what I'm trying to do here is use inline GitHub Copilot to see it can if it can generate the code. Now, yeah, for an existing script, that's how you can do. The other way is to use the shortcut in GitHub Copilot chat, where you can use the doc or the explain keyword to create documentation. So once you say, once I use the doc, GitHub will understand that it has to generate comments and documentation. And I'm saying, can you document the script in TBL certification, right? So it takes the existing table and then generates a detailed documentation, including the header, the column description, and the details based on its understanding what are the details. So you notice every column and every details are commented here, which you would take a lot of time to generate. Now similarly, I can go ahead and create documentation for every table use by referring to the doc command and the relevant file to which I need the documentation. So here I'm trying to say, can you repeat the previous request, but this time for TBL technology, right? Now, so now if you notice there, I didn't even ask it to generate a documentation. All I said is to repeat the previous step. So GitHub Copilot was able to understand the context of the previous command, refer it to the new file, and generate a documentation, right? So all these are possible with GitHub Copilot, and you will be able to generate documents, generate scripts, and various other code in a more standard and fast and quicker way. Here is a documentation which it is able to generate. I have the code now, so I'm going to accept it and save the doc and refer the tbuild roles file to generate documentation for the tbuild roles table. The last one is the tbuild technology, for which I'll go and generate the documentation for tbuild technology. So the key part is the hash and the backslash. Backslash is the command, hash is the file that you want to refer, and the prompt based on what you're looking to achieve or you're trying to do. Now here I have the documentation for all the files and the details I need, which I can go ahead and commit the code into repository or give it for a review to code review or raise a pull request. Now, what you can notice there is the primary column, which is the ID column, is having IID, right? So I'm trying to see, can I go back and update my standards file and ask, and it's the real scenario, right? You have a standards, now we're going to update the standards. Now here the standard I'm trying to say is for avoid adding the prefix to the primary key. So any rules applied above, I'm asking if it's a primary key, you avoid it. You avoid apply override and don't create any suffix. Now you will notice that I have after updating the standards, now I'm saying can you update the table as per the updated standards. Now if you notice the code, uh, you're getting the documentation, you're getting the table code as well as with the updated script. So you need not repeat the steps again to ask you to generate the documentation after you've done that, right? So it will be able to you should be able to update the standards as and when you evolve, as and when the project evolves, and then you should be able to uh, regenerate the script, you generate the and then the, update the code or the script, right? So that's how you can use GitHub Copilot to go ahead and generate the code and let's say if it in some cases if it doesn't work, you could always ask it to simple prompt of renaming the column. Can you rename this table certification and rename it to ID, right? That's another way of writing a prompt. One way is to use SQL standards file. Second way is to uh, update or rename the column wherever IID is there with the ID column, right? So you need to learn which prompt works better or which prompt is good. That's prompt engineering or how which prompts give you better results or more accurate results depends on your context as well as depends on your prompt that you are writing, right? So this is how we can use GitHub Copilot to generate scripts and update existing tables, right? So we will also see what are the other things you can do with GitHub Copilot. Can we generate a view, and can we do various other operations that we typically do when we do database development, right? So here again, what I'm basically doing is for every table, I'm running the prompt to update the IID column with the ID column. Again, so as I said in the beginning, this is not the only way. This is not the way to do. This is how I found it to be useful. Create a standards file and then generate the code by referring to the standard file so that you get the code. There are many ways of doing it, but that's part of prompt engineering and how you do. But uh, that's how you need to do. Now we will see how can you update an existing table with new columns and then set the parameters that we generally set to allow, let's say, allow null or other details. So here I'm trying to add a new column called parent ID into the main content table, and then I'm asking it to allow null for this column, right? So what it does is again take the existing script, update the new column, parent column, then give you the updated script with documentation and all other parameters and the content being the same. So now you can basically update code, copy and update the code in the file. So here is your parent ID, which is newly added, which is int with the null. We'll copy, preview, and then go ahead and paste it. So here I have the parent column now visible even in the visual format. So going back now, let's see how do we create a views which are much more complex than creating a table where you need to join multiple tables and various other conditions that you need. So here I'm creating a new view based out of the main content and then join various other tables like TBL technology, TBL certification, other stuff. So now I'll clear the view. Now using the prompt, I'll say, can you create a view? A view, we give a name, VW main content, and go and then ask it to generate a view by using TBL main content as the root. VW main content, and then asking it to join with TBL. I'm referring in the individual files now, and join TBL technology, certification, and roles. So those are the foreign keys for this table. So all I need to do is refer those tables. And then now I can make this prompt much more specific by asking you to only choose the columns which I need. I can say only choose the primary columns or the relevant columns. And in this case, what it does is it is able to pick the tables which it thinks has to be part of it. If you notice, it has not picked up created on, updated on tables of the joining tables. Only the main content has these columns. So now I have a view which is basically gives me the all the data joining multiple tables. Now, typically when you create a view, we also need to ensure if the view is existing, we delete and create a new one. Right, so we typically add an if exists condition to if exists, check for if the view exists, then delete and then run updated script. Here I'm asking it to add into the existing code. I'm asking it to add if exists condition into the view, right? So what it does is it now adds the if condition to check whether this view exists in the object store. If yes, it will drop the view and then execute uh, the new code to create the updated view, right? So you can notice here writing even a complex, again, the prompts, you can make it much more complex. You can give it specific details to give you the data you need. But I hope you're getting the idea of how GitHub Copilot, based on the prompts, based on the clarity you have, and what is the database design looking for, what are the views looking for, and just by writing prompts and giving very specific instructions, I was able to generate a decent database design code in 20 to 25 minutes, right? So I have this in the upcoming blog. I'm going to show you how this code I'm going to take and write my DB services and even uh, repository services to on top of it, all by using GitHub Copilot. So what I would suggest is go ahead and try GitHub Copilot, follow the steps, the video, follow the blog, and then try to recreate your own table design, your own DB design, and then learn prompts, learn how to write prompts, learn how to use GitHub Copilot in your projects, in your new projects, or even for you to learn, right? So if you have any questions or any other clarifications, feel free to comment or message me. I'll be able to help you out.